During the cold winter months, we knew that President Donald Trump would spend as much time as possible on Palm Beach at his Mar-a-Lago estate, but no one could have predicted the news he would continually make, major news, during his visits here to South Florida. Super Bowl weekend marked Donald Trump's first time in the Palm Beaches as Commander-in-Chief, and about 3,000 protesters greeted him. That Saturday, he and the First Lady attended the American Red Cross Charity Ball at Mr. Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. And Sunday, the Trumps and friends watched the big game at Trump International Golf Club in West Palm Beach. And yes, he predicted a Patriots win. But Trump's second February visit did not go smoothly. While the First Family hosted the Prime Minister of Japan and his wife, these photos leaked of President Trump and staff talking openly in the Mar-a-Lago dining room when news broke of a North Korean ballistic missile test. National security experts expressed alarm that Mr. Trump discussed potentially sensitive information where anyone in the dining room could hear it. Still at Mar-a-Lago, the president addressed that launch.
I just want everybody to understand and fully know that the United States of America stands behind Japan, its great ally, 100%.
After the missile test controversy, Mr. Trump used his next Florida visit to rally the base.
They have their own agenda.
President Trump's first March visit was a quick one, but controversial still because he tweeted this about his predecessor. How low had President Obama gone to tap my phones during the very sacred election process? This is Nixon Watergate. Bad or sick guy. Later that month, Vice President Mike Pence joined Mr. Trump here in South Florida for the first time since the two were sworn in. A few Trump supporters even got a surprise meet and greet.
And I looked at him and I said, oh my God, your hair is real. I mean, I cannot believe I even said that.
April brought the Commander-in-Chief back to Mar-a-Lago for a two-day summit with a leader of China, when he also ordered airstrikes in Syria and saw his first Supreme Court nominee confirmed. The next weekend was Easter, the First Family attending church services at Bethesda by the Sea on Palm Beach, the same place where the Trumps married in 2005. And as expected, the heat of the Florida summer kept the First Family away from Mar-a-Lago after that until Thanksgiving. The President and First Lady stopping by the Coast Guard station in Riviera Beach and breaking bread with members of the military.
You folks are fighting so hard and working so hard, and it's nice that you're working for something that's really starting to work.
In December, Trump took Senator Lindsey Graham to West Palm Beach's Trump International for a round of golf. We were told the two men talked tax cuts. During Christmas, the First Family followed their annual holiday tradition with services at Bethesda by the Sea again. They called children eagerly waiting for Santa's arrival and thanked the troops. The president tweeting in part, "People are proud to be saying Merry Christmas again. I am proud to have led the charge against the assault of our cherished and beautiful phrase." The First Family left the Palm Beaches after the new year, but they were not gone long. After one weekend at Camp David, the Trumps escaped the cold and came right back to Palm Beach, but did not escape new controversy. Not only did an explosive new book paint the president as inept, if not incompetent, his vulgar characterization of Haiti, all of Africa, and El Salvador, as recounted by senators from both political parties, forced the 45th president to have to refute the claim he is a racist, standing there outside his golf club here.
No, I'm not a racist. I am the least racist person you have ever interviewed. That I can tell you.
Now, as year two of the Trump presidency nears, with a rising economy but sliding approval numbers and an ongoing Russia probe, President Donald Trump is sure to keep the Palm Beaches in the international spotlight. We all knew that President Donald Trump would spend as much time as possible on Palm Beach at his Mar-a-Lago estate during his first year in office. But no one could have predicted the major news he would continually make on his visits to South Florida.